you learn the number system in school for music, and like as a classical musician, you learn it. It's just Roman numerals instead of numbers. But Roman numerals confuse me and most people. The reason it's called the Nashville Number System, it's because none of us went to music school and it's just like what we know, but it is widely used all over.
If you are a songwriter who's heard about the Nashville Number System, has yet to fully understand it, keep watching. Because this week, our coach, Madeline Finn, is going to be giving a masterclass, a deep dive into the concept so you can start applying it to your songs, that you can start using it as a communication tool in your songs. So, Nashville Number System, let's dive in.
This is the master class on keys and Nashville numbers. For starters, let's talk about why we need to know these things. Why do we need to know about keys and transposing and all of that nonsense in the Nashville number system? Well, first reason is collaboration. I know some of y'all co-write. I know some of y'all work with producers. I know some of y'all are producers. And I don't know if you've had this experience, but have you gotten into a writing room and you've got this great song and everybody's like, yeah, but can we take it up like to this key? And you're like, maybe we can. I got to figure out how to do that first. Or you just slide your capo up to the sixth fret and now all the body is gone in the song. Right. So being able to collaborate effectively means having an understanding of these things, knowing that, okay, if I put my capo on this fret and I'm using these chords, I could actually take the capo off and use these chords down here and it's going to sound a lot fuller. Those are the things we need to know. It also gives you more colors to paint with. The more you understand the keys that you tend to stick to and the keys that are in your wheelhouse, the more you'll kind of feel freedom to go outside of your comfort zone. You know, okay, this is kind of the top of my range key wise, and this is kind of the lower end of my range key wise. So you might end up writing in a key that you never really thought to write in just because you don't know the chords or things like that. But hopefully today that'll fix a lot of that. The last thing is obviously vocal performance. My sweet beans. I know some of you feel very strong in your singing and some of you do not. So this is going to be really important across the board, whether you are a strong singer, whether you are not. Knowing your range and knowing what keys suit your voice best is going to make the demos come across a lot cleaner, a lot more solid. And hopefully you won't have to hire out somebody just because something's a little too high or a little too low. You'll be able to just kind of tailor it to you and know what to send people so that they can adjust the keys on their own time as well. And that's where the Nashville numbers charts come in. So we're going to do a 4-step process here. Okay, so I'm going to pull up my favorite tool, which is the whiteboard. I'm going to try and keep it really simple, as simple as I can. Step 1, know your range. Step 2 is know the chords within the keys in your range. Okay. Step 3 is be ready to transpose. And step 4, chart by numbers. Okay. So let's start with number 1, and that is know your range. So this is where your guitar or your keyboard's going to come in handy. And I will tell you this, your range will change depending on if you're feeling sick, depending on if you smoke a lot of cigarettes like I do, anything like that, right? It's going to change often. And especially for women or people assigned female at birth, it's important to understand that we go through more voice changes than men do. So depending on where you're at in your age range, your range could still have some changing to do. So I'm going to make this super simple. Are you ready? I'm going to pull up my logic here. So step number 1 to knowing your range is you're going to sing the highest note that is comfortable for you. So you're going to sing it first. So for me today, what would that be today? Okay, so this is I can show you. Okay, this is a C4, and I'm singing. It feels pretty much like the top of me right now. Okay, I want you all to take a quick second and see if you can find the highest note that feels comfortable for you today. And if at any point you're like, Maddie, what note is this? That's okay. You can ask those questions. C4 is about the highest for me in my range right now. So I'm going to mark that, okay? And I'm now I'm going to count 3 whole steps down. Whole step versus half step. A whole step is from this C, it's like 2 jumps. So 1, 2. So that's a whole step. A half step would be 1 jump. And for frets, 1 fret equals a half step, 2 frets equal a whole step. So you're going to count 3 whole steps down from that highest note. So for me, this would look like 1, okay, which leaves me with an F sharp 3. And this is a like horribly methodical way to do this, but I find that it's helpful for people to have actual like step-by-step process. So you're going to count 3 whole steps down from wherever that highest note was. And for me, that's going to be F sharp. All right. We're going to take it from the other end. And we're going to sing the lowest note that feels comfortable for us today. What I don't want is like, oh, not like that. That's not comfortable. Okay. Maybe the lowest note you can sing without really activating into those fries. And fries are just that sound, right? So for me today, probably there. That's probably as low as I can go without going lower and being uncomfortable. So low, this one. Okay, cool. So you can see here on my piano, this is an E flat 2. Ooh. So find the lowest note that feels comfortable. I'm probably pushing a little bit with that E flat, but I don't care. That's what the cigarettes are for. Don't smoke, kids. Bad for you. Okay. So once you have that note, from here, we're going to count 4 whole steps up. Okay. So if I've got this E flat, you go 1, 3, 4, which leaves me with this B2. You don't need to worry so much about the numbers. Like, is it a 2? Is it a 1? Is it a 3? Like, don't worry about what octave it is. Just kind of have an idea. So again, we're counting 4 whole steps up from the lowest note that feels comfortable. So what I'm left with now, okay, so I have a B right here, and then I had the F sharp below, okay, which leaves me with what I like to say, and this is, I completely made this up. I'm going to tell y'all that. This is just like my process I've used for figuring this out. But all of the notes within these 2 are going to be pretty comfortable keys for me to use. So C, C sharp, D, E flat, E, F, those are going to be most comfortable. If I pull it down into B or up into F sharp, it's going to give me a little pull in either direction, but I know for sure that these are my comfiest. And that makes sense to me because most of my songs are in D or E flat. Right? Most of the songs I record out and about in the world are going to be in D, E flat. Every once in a while, I mean, and this isn't to say like if I write a song in G, it's not going to be good for me. I love singing in G, but I like using this system as a way to just pick something that I know is probably going to be in a decent range for me. So again, you just find the notes that are kind of in the middle of that, and that's going to be the keys that are going to be able to showcase your range the most. Doesn't mean other keys are off limits. Just means they're going to be the ones that are the most useful. Okay. That's step 1. Okay, so now that we've figured out what keys work well, step 2 is knowing what chords come within the keys. I always find people are like, what key do I write my song in? Or if you end up writing it with a capo, you might find that oftentimes you might be falling around these places. So for this, it might get a little intense. So we're going to start with major, right? Knowing what chords are available in the keys. Keys come from scales. So we're going to start with a major. I want you to remember this: root, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. That's major. So for instance, if I start with the root note of C And then, do a whole step up, it's going to be D, a whole step up, it's going to be E, a half step F, a whole step G, so on and so forth, right? That's going to play out my C major scale. Chords that are available within the C major scale. The nice thing is once you learn this, you can apply it to any major key. Same thing, we're going to do same thing with minor. You can apply it to any minor key. Okay, so the root note of the C major scale is what? So C is going to be the first, D is going to be the second, E is going to be third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and then 8 is the octave, okay? So from here, what we can know is that in any major scale, the 2, the 3, and the 6 minor are going to sound great. So we've got 1, 2 minor, 3 minor, 4, 5, 6 minor, 7, and then the octave. We do love some A minor. Now, the interesting part about this here is this B. You'll notice this B is not going to sound great major or minor, and that's because in a major scale, the 7th is going to be the diminished chord. So a diminished chord, the way I can explain this to you is it's a minor chord, so it'd be the B minor chord, but we flat the high note. So the 5th note of that, or the 3rd note, depending on how you're looking at it. So it would be C, D minor, E minor, F, G, A minor, B diminished, and C again. Those are the chords you can choose from. When it comes to a minor scale, we've got root, whole, half, whole, half, whole. So whatever the root note is, a whole step up, then a half step, then another whole, half, whole will build you a minor scale. Okay, so we're going to lay out an A minor scale. This checks out because the A minor scale is the enharmonic. So with these guys, the thing to remember here is the 1, the 4, and the 5 are minor, and the 2nd is diminished. So what do you notice? Since these are the relative majors and minors, right? All of these chords are what? The same. So that's how we can check our work. We know this is true. So if you choose the key of A minor, all of these chords are available to you. If you choose the key of C major, all these chords are available to you. Now that you might not use these first 2 steps so often because let's say you have a song already that you're like, I love this song, it's great, it's in a perfect key for me, but then you take it to your band and your bass player wants to sing it and he's got a weird voice, so you got to change the key. It's important to be able to transpose these things, okay? So we're going to talk a little bit about transposing. Okay, so it means changing the key. So let's say we've got a song in D major, but you know what? I really want to sing it, and a better key for me would be E flat major. How would we go about transposing that? Move every letter up a half step. Exactly. And this is why it's important to understand the musical alphabet. So if I want to transpose it up a half step, or if I want to transpose it up a whole step, let's try this though. Let's put something easy. Okay. So everybody's favorite chords. Bingo. We got G, E minor, D, and C. All right. So let's say we're going to play a song in G, E minor. Like the song is in G. And we know it's in G because we can feel that resolve when we hit it, right? So the song is in G, but I would love to sing this. You know what? Let's make it hard. I want to sing it in C, okay? So how would we transpose that? We'd start by counting the amount of steps to C. So if I've got G, see it. Okay, so I've got 1.5. Okay, so it's 2.5 steps above G. So I definitely know this is C because I'm going to be in the key of C. So every G is going to turn into C. E minor, 2.5 steps above E minor. A minor, yeah. 2.5 steps above D, G, yep. And then 2.5 steps above C, F. So now this is my song transposed into C. Okay, so you go up and down. So what you do is you just count the steps and then you move each one. Now, if you get really good at where like shapes and stuff on your fretboards or on your keyboards, you'll kind of start to understand the spacing. And that can be a quicker way of doing this. Now, a lot of times, if you are working with a producer or a house band or anything like that, and especially people who are really well versed in this stuff, I know when I first started going into studios with session players, I was so stressed because they'd be like, "Oh, what chord is that?" And I'd be like, "I think it's something," right? But really, the way around this is knowing the number system. So all of this stuff we just did with all the letters and all that, it can all really be circumvented by just using the number system and knowing your numbers decently. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to chart someone's song in real time with them. Okay. This is going to be in the key of E. So if we're going to chart this, but first let's figure this out. Let's make sure we know these things. So let's type out the key of E major real quick. So I'm going to run you through a Nashville numbers chart for this. There is a really cool app that I will tell you all about, and it is called One Chart. And it allows you to build charts on like chord charts, and then you can flip it to numbers and you can transpose it and check your work. And it's really helpful. I use it for all of my, like when I was playing CMA Fest, any hired gun gigs I do, I will use it to chart all the songs. And it's a great way for me to learn my numbers as well. It's the best $15 I've ever spent. The way that Nashville numbers works, or the way that I have learned to make it work, is basically count it out. So if it would be, so you said it was E, right? 2 measures of the 1, and then you go to F sharp minor 2. And the way we write this in Nashville numbers is we would put a little M by it. Now, something that you might run into, Pat has a very simple like timing on this. You might run into a situation where you're like, but Maddie, I switch chords in the middle of the measure. I go from the 1 to the 5. So what you would do to indicate that 2 notes or 2 chords are in the same measure, you simply, you underline it. So I know when I'm reading this chart, I'm on the 1 for 2 counts and the 5 for 2 counts because they're together. But Pat, your song doesn't do that, so I'm not going to do that. And then the other thing you may see every once in a while is this. Yes, a diamond is a ring out. So you're going to hear people say this all the time, and we're going to put a diamond on that. So when I'm reading a Nashville chart, if I see a diamond over that number, I know, okay, I'm holding that out, right? And those are the biggest things to know about charting Nashville wise. I want you to see what the numbers stand for. I want you to understand that, okay, if I were to take this number system and say, instead of key of E, if I said key of A, we would just change, nothing would change in the chart. We'd just have a new key to pull from, right? I realize that is probably a lot. Anywhere you go, and I'm going to give y'all a little challenge. If anybody goes to see live music, ever, okay? If you go to watch live music, especially jam bands or jam nights, I want you to see if you ever notice anybody flashing numbers, right? Because what they're doing is they're telling the folks next to them, hey, we're going to the 4. Hey, we're going to the 2. I was playing, I volunteer in prisons, and I go and I play shows in prisons, and we had an inmate join us who was an incredible piano player, but didn't know the changes. So the whole time I'm just going, so and that was in Florida. Like it's all over. You learn the number system in school for music, and like as a classical musician, you learn it. It's just Roman numerals instead of numbers. But Roman numerals confuse me and most people. So that's why we do the number system. But knowing the reason it's called the Nashville number system, it's because none of us went to music school, and it's just like what we know. But it is widely used all over. So highly recommend you learn it. I write with letters, just as a songwriter. That's what I start with. I write with letters, and then if I need to chart it out, and that's why this is so important for collaboration, right? If I need to chart it out, or if I want to send it to an artist, or if I'm sending it to my band, and I want my band to be able to sit with it, I'll send them a numbers chart. So this can be pretty intense. If at any point you have any questions, even anybody watching this after the fact, please email me. I'm happy to answer. If you need help with charting or anything like that, I'm here. All right. I'll catch y'all on the flip side. Bye, y'all.
Hey, it's Mike from Songwriting for Guitar. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And hey, don't leave. We got other cool videos you should check out too. Like some of these right here. Oh, that one right there. That's really good. You should click that. Right there. Just click it.